to the Web3 Prof Podcast.
Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Web3 Prof Podcast. I'm with Stewart, who is here from Sat Chats. Stewart, thanks for being with me here today.
Thanks for having me, Jarrett.
Stewart, let's start things off. Tell us, how did you get into Bitcoin?
Some guy came downstairs at work in 2017 and was like, you got to look at this stuff. It's going up like crazy. And I said, hey, Alex, I'm transitioning into outside sales because I want to get rich. I don't have time to look at whatever you're going on about. Huge mistake, Jarrett. Massive mistake. January of 2024, I see a headline, Wall Street approves Bitcoin ETF. I say to myself, Bitcoin's still here? Then I say to myself, what's an ETF? Then I say to myself, if Wall Street approves it, it must be solid enough these days for them to want to, invest in it. I should look at it myself. And basically for 2 years now, I have done nothing except for Bitcoin. Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin.
Is the reason that you're interested in Bitcoin for like social reasons? You think that it's better for society? Are you looking at it as like an investment mechanism? What was like your motivation or maybe your initial interest? Like, are you libertarian and is that what got you into it, the free markets?
I don't have any political identity, Jarrett. I remember studying Roman history and learning about how the politicians of that age conceived of the circus and got charioteers inside and assigned them colors and said, this chariot is red, this chariot is blue. You want your color chariot to win the race, but they're just going around in a circle. That whole distraction area doesn't really work for me. I like to think about Bitcoin in terms of multi-thousand year implications. But to answer your question, my initial interest in Bitcoin came from this idea that if I put a small amount of money in, over time, it would turn into a lot of money. And if I took the $50 I had earned doing chores around the house and bought Bitcoin and it grew to like $3,000, then I could sell it and get a giant chest tattoo. And my wife wouldn't be able to say no because it was my allowance money.
I'm just curious, who pays you $50 to do chores around the house?
Well,
is that just a theoretical example?
I make money. I give all of it to my wife. Then she doles it out to me and our two kids, 25 cents at a time in exchange for chores around the house. And I get really excited earning my own money all over again.
I mean, you have like the double dopamine hit. I'm getting paid 2 times from your own money.
Why earn new money when you can earn the same money twice? Think about it.
So a little bit of a business proposal to you. How about you throw the $50 my way? You do some more work for me, and I'll then in turn give it back to you again.
Hey, well, subtle foreshadowing. I might just give you $50 at the end of today's episode if you play your cards right.
Okay, so Stewart, if we look at humanity's long relationship with gold going on for thousands of years, what lessons stand out to you about why societies have gravitated towards sound money in the first place?
Man, this has been such an interesting topic for me to explore because I've only ever known government money. I'm a 90s kid. I grew up with the US dollar. I remember being 6, 7, 8 years old. If I got my hands on $20, that was a gigantic amount of money. And I could go down to the movie time because Blockbuster wasn't around yet. And I could get like 4 Airheads, 2 or 3 packs of X-Men cards, a video game for the weekend, and a movie for the weekend. And I was like, I'm rich. So when I started going down the Bitcoin rabbit hole, this was long after I went to university and spent a lot of time studying the Renaissance. It dawned on me that we haven't always had government money, government tokens. There was like a long period of time where we all had gold, and gold was a neutral money that society, to your question, kind of just gravitated towards naturally over time because it was a really useful way to store all their time and energy for use in other areas of space or in other areas of time. And so if we could see a time in history where we didn't have government money, then I can see a time in the future where we won't have it either.
So do you think that gold is still a valid currency for medium of exchange or store of value? Or has really Bitcoin kind of taken over what the role of gold was, maybe let's say like pre-70s or pre-1930s?
Okay, man. Jarrett, with the professorial level, these are big questions here. Technically, yes, gold is as gold. Gold is as good as gold. I mean, that's why we say that, right? It has all the properties of money that we look for, except for the fact that it's bound by the laws of physics. And if you're that guy who finds the Civil War era cache of gold coins in some Kentucky field, you must immediately lawyer up, preserve the coins as they are without disturbing them or trying to clean them off, insure them for a whole bunch of money, and then fly them personally to some appraiser in Florida who can try to figure out what you have found. So it's kind of hard to transport. It's kind of heavy, but it's still as good as gold. But your question was, has Bitcoin replaced it? 100%. Bitcoin has already won and simply is the money that we will be using for the next 5,000 years, period. And it blows my mind to try to wrap my mind around that. And it's incredibly difficult to try to explain to others. And I've had to go through and find all of these different people who can explain certain aspects of Bitcoin, but braiding it together into like this cohesive whole that can convey from me to you the level of conviction that I have after all the work I put into it's super, super difficult. But I can try if you're interested.
No, yeah. Well, I want to hear you try. And also, the way you describe gold makes me think that you were one time digging in a field in Kentucky and had to fly your gold down to Florida to get it appraised. You spoke very passionately and clearly about such a unique situation.
That is the story of the Kentucky Hoard.
Oh.
So I flew to Lexington 2 years ago because I was still in cybersecurity sales and I had a big client out there. And as I was waiting to take them to the horse races, I went to a little talk on the Kentucky Hoard. And this gold bug told the story of one of his clients who found this Civil War era cache of gold coins in a random field. And they were muddy from being close to a river. And if he had made the mistake of trying to clean them himself, I mean, even just a toothbrush, the lightest whisper on top of that gold coin that just so happened to be minted at one of two, mints in the South during the Civil War, he would have tanked its collectability all the way back down to the melt value of the gold. It was a wild story. But it helped. It helped because I think I was getting closer and closer to understanding at that time in my life. And it helped me to realize, oh my goodness, gold is difficult to transport. I get it. So, if I kind of zoom out over the past 5,000 years and look at gold, we basically found a slow, natural, emergent way to kind of coalesce around gold. Saifedean's book obviously kicks butt, and it blew my mind when it was talking about seashells and glass beads and yap stones. But pretty much gold has been money for a very long time, all around the world, because it works everywhere around the world, and it's neutral and it's durable. It's as good as gold. And then studying Bitcoin helped me zoom out of my own life and go, hey, wait, fiat currency is like a fairly recent and disastrous experiment. It's only 50 to 100, 115 years old, kind of. Now that Bitcoin's here, I think that we are going to be moving away from something that we tried that was horrible. Fiat currency has led to that $20 bill in the 1990s being an infinite amount of money for me, to $20. I mean, that's like the online convenience processing fee that gets added to the $120 worth of movie tickets for just 4 people to go watch a movie that's not even that good. And that doesn't even include concessions or anything. It's like, what's going on here? When I think about Bitcoin, Jarrett, I kind of zoom out another 5. It's kind of like 4 to 5,000 years of coalescing around gold. Disastrous moment. And now thousands of years of us coalescing around Bitcoin. And it's super early, but I like to think that there are people out there who can tell when the game has already been won, even though it's not over yet. Like when I think about grandmasters who play chess all day, every day, if gold is the opening of the chess game and fiat currency is the mid game, where the positions are very messy, they're very complicated, the board is clogged, I might look at that board and say, I don't know who's winning. I don't know if the white pieces are winning or if the black pieces are winning. It looks really complicated. There's still lots of pawns. I think if this pawn moves, it means that his bishop is pinning a more valuable piece. But I don't know. But a grandmaster can look at that position and go, game's already over. Black is upside down. White is winning, and there's no way for black to win if white continues to play a good, clean game. I feel that's the case with Bitcoin, where if I look at Bitcoin on the chessboard, I look at fiat currency and really any other type of money, Bitcoin's position on the chessboard means that it has already won the next 5,000 years, even though we're only 16 years in. And most people, including my sister who came on my show, including my 10-year-old daughter who came on my show, can't see it yet.
When you look at Bitcoin today and compare it to like some of the advanced principles of gold, maybe in terms of 3 different things: trust, scarcity, and time preference. Can you kind of compare the two? Like, how does gold relate to trust, and how does Bitcoin create a better level of trust? And then I'm going to ask you the same thing about scarcity and then time preference. So can you talk about trust first?
Okay. So gold, in my mind, is superior to paper money because you have to trust that the government is going to make the right choices for you. And we know they're not going to do that. So gold is certainly more trustworthy than our current option. And I think if it weren't for Bitcoin, I hope in some parallel universe that I would have found gold and started buying gold and watching that kind of preserve its value. Because by the way, when I did the math on my own home here in Raleigh, over the past 10 years, it's really cool to see that it's doubled in value until you realize that actually, no, you just need twice as much money to buy it these days. When I calculated the value of my home in gold, it hadn't changed over the past 10 years. You need the same amount of gold to buy my house now as you did then, even though you need twice as much money. So I really hope that I would have found gold if there were no Bitcoin, and I could have become a gold bug. I could have tapped into my old Norse mindset and told myself that I had taken these coins from some feckless monk in France, right? And really just had that story inside. But you do have some problems with gold, because what if the gold that you're being given is not gold, or doesn't have the correct amount of gold content inside it? Or what if that Roman coin has been clipped on its way through the emperor's treasury and back out to you? Maybe I could bite it and get good enough with the nerve endings in my teeth. I don't know. But you kind of have a moment where you have to trust that the gold you're being given is gold. And again, it's better than dollars at least, but it ain't that much better.
Did you see, actually today I just saw that CZ from Binance was in an interview with Peter Schiff. And I by your facial expressions, I guess you saw it. And that's exactly the nature of the conversation, was like CZ gives Peter Schiff a bar of gold and says, is it real? It's labeled to be real. It seems to be real. And Peter Schiff says quite powerfully, I don't know. Which goes to the nature of what you're saying. It's very difficult in many situations to know, is this actually real gold?
Yes. So, and I did see that. I was on YouTube today, and I saw that. I was like, oh, but what I love about Bitcoin is that it completely does something that I don't know if I've ever come across before, which is trust, because you don't need to trust it. I can trust Bitcoin because I don't need to trust it. It is insane to think about a form of digital money, or really anything at all on this earth or in outer space, that you can trust because it doesn't require your trust. It literally proves itself every 10 minutes for years and years and years, around the clock without stopping, and says, hey, do you want to see every last line of code? It's right here. Do you want to see every transaction ever? It's right here. Would you like to see the rules by which we operate? They're right here. I mean, it is incredible. The level of trust that we can have in Bitcoin is higher than anything else. And that's because we don't have to trust it.
That's great. What about scarcity? How do we relate the scarcity around gold to the scarcity that we see in Bitcoin?
Okay. So good question. If I am Stewart and I'm locked into the year 2025 and my own life goes back to 1985 and I can vaguely push myself back to like the early 50s because that's when my parents were growing up, plus almost no one, this is a big secret here in America, Jarrett. Almost nobody in America knows that there is more time before the part where we won World War II. I'm telling you, everybody in America is convinced that time starts at 1945 and goes forward from there.
That is an American thing, isn't it?
America, it's like we can get back to 1945 and then it falls off of a cliff, man. We don't have any concept of what's happening back there, and we're not even sure if it even happened. So if I'm kind of locked into this post-World War II life of mine, then the scarcity of gold is pretty freaking good. I mean, humanity, I guess let me back up a little bit. You need for gold to be created inside the heart of a dying star. Then you need that star to explode. Then you need all of that gold to travel across of the universe and get accreted into some gases and some particulate matter and eventually coalesce into a planet. Then you need to have life on that planet. Then you need to go find where the dang gold is. It's pretty hard to find. We've been working for thousands of years and we've only got, is it like 2 Olympic-sized swimming pools worth of this stuff? It ain't that much. It's a whole on the whole Earth is a pretty big planet. And we've only got 2 Olympic-sized swimming pools worth of this junk. I mean, that's pretty sweet. And again, it has the properties of money so long as you're comfortable being constrained by the laws of physics. So sure, it's pretty dang scarce. And it's coming out of the ground at a fairly standard clip. Each year I can expect to lose about 2% of my purchasing power because that much more is added to the overall supply, at least from my memory reading Saifedean's book. It's a whole heck of a lot less than the 40% that my gouvernement printed during the pandemic, long before I even knew that was going to become a huge problem. I was like, stimulus check? Yeah, boy, I'm from America. What can I get with this stuff? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that 2% increase is a whole lot less than the squabillion% increase of this meaningless token that my government prints all the time. So is gold scarce? Yes, so long as I have an incredibly limited view of humanity. Now, let's do what I like to do, Jarrett. Okay? Let's zoom way out. All right? Star Trek Enterprise mode. Captain Jean-Luc Picard, that's my captain. I don't know who your captain is. The correct captain is Jean-Luc Picard for anybody listening. Star Wars mode, Guardians of the Galaxy mode, outer space exploration mode. In the year 7025, not 2025, in the year 2025, gold sucks. Dude, there's some like meteor in outer space that's headed for Earth right now that has more gold on it than all the gold that we currently have in our possession. And if somebody can send a spaceship out there and grab that hunk of rock, I think they're going to think they're rich for 2 seconds until they realize, uh-oh, I actually just wrecked myself. And now gold has no monetary value because we only had 2 Olympic-sized swimming pools, and now we have an entire freaking celestial object full of this junk, right? This has no more use as money. Once man gets into outer space, gold is toast. And since it's inevitable that we're going out there, then that means gold is toast right now. But it doesn't matter how much time passes, Jarrett, and it doesn't matter how far we go, there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. So which one of these two forms of money is more scarce?
I mean, your reference around Star Trek was lost on me, but I appreciate your passion for there only being one captain or whatever the heck you're talking about here.
Some people are going to slay me in the comments of your video. They're like, no, it's Kirk. Kirk is my captain. And that they'll be wrong, but that's okay.
Okay, so what about time preference? Talk to us about the relationship between time preference and gold and the time preference around Bitcoin.
Well, again, if I go to this current little disastrous experiment that we're inside and we're watching it explode in real time, if you've got this thing right here, let me grab it for you. I got to put it in a protective case, Jarrett, because I don't actually want to touch it. You never know where these things have been.
Yeah,
right?
well, that's true.
Right. Plus, a lot of times, if you like unearth an ancient tomb, maybe it has like a gnarly Egyptian form of the hantavirus, and then you contract it and start the zombie apocalypse. So we need to keep this thing nice and encased. If this is your money, your time preference must be incredibly high because everything is getting away from you all the time, and you better buy something with it now because the convenience fee on my movie tickets is an old Andrew Jackson right now, but it won't be long before Mr. Ulysses S. Grant is required to check out online. Am I right?
I mean, I don't really know what you're talking about. What dollars are you talking about?
Andrew Jackson is on the $20 bill. And this guy, Ulysses S. Grant, is on the $50 bill. We have a bunch of dead white dudes on our money down here. And I think, is every one of them a president except for Benjamin Franklin, who's like a total goat? He's on the $100 bill and he's like, I don't even need to be president. Gold time preference. I think your time preference is pretty freaking low if you are buying gold. I mean, you're basically saying, you know what? This cheap paper that only came out recently and is meaningless and isn't tied to anything, I'm not going to use this as money. I'm going to continue the time-tested tradition of using gold as money. And yes, I'm going to have to kind of do some chicanery when I actually want to buy something. I'm going to have to take my gold. I'm going to have to find someone who will give me this stuff for it. And then I can use this stuff to buy the thing that I want. So you're kind of abstracting yourself one layer from the day to day in exchange for some freaking safety. I mean, my goodness, if my house cost this much 10 years ago, I would need 2 of these to buy the same house now. But if I bought this much worth of gold 10 years ago, I could still buy the same house. That was a powerful realization for me when I did that math. And I would encourage everyone listening to do the same kind of math for yourself. If you own something like a house that you believe is increasing in value over time, and I know property valuations in Canada have gone ballistic, take a look at look at how many loonies you needed when you bought the home. Look at how many loonies you can get these days, and then go back and say, what was the loony price of gold when I bought this sucker? That's how many ounces I would have needed. What's the loony price of gold these days? That's how much gold I would need. I guarantee you it's pretty much the same amount of gold. And in fact, when I did the math, my home had gone down 1%. And I said, my goodness, this thing isn't an investment. It's just a dumb old box with a roof and doors and windows that I sleep in. It blew my mind, right? But then go back to where you bought the home. Sorry, go back to where you bought the home. See what the value of Bitcoin was at that time and say, here's how much Bitcoin I needed. And then go to today and get the Bitcoin value and say, here's how much Bitcoin I would need. By the way, I did this for my house, Jarrett. I would have needed 500 Bitcoin to buy my home in 2014. And in 2024, when I did the math, I needed less than five. That means my home was 99% cheaper in Bitcoin terms. My house ain't even a dumb box now. It's a mistake. Anyways, I'm getting all hot. I get hot when I talk about this math, Jarrett. Let me try to focus on your question. Gold has a low time preference because, again, hey man, if I invest in this, it's going to take care of me in the future. I'm planning for the future, and I'm planning for a multi-thousand-year human history where this has worked, right? But guess what? Zoom out even further, brother. Because the next 5,000 years, we've already established gold is no longer going to be as good as gold. So I need something even better than that. And the time preference for Bitcoin is so low, you're basically hitting the x-axis. It's like a parabola, friend. You're almost hitting the x-axis, but you're never all the way getting there. As Bitcoin supply goes up and starts to taper off, your time preference is going to go down and taper off. I mean, the Satoshis that I'm stacking today, I'm the fourth Arthur in an unbroken line. I'm sorry, the fourth Arthur Pelto in an unbroken line of 5 Arthur Peltos, Jarrett. The Satoshis I'm stacking are not for my son, the 5th Arthur Pelto. They're not for his son, the 6th Arthur Pelto, who I do believe, I think Magnus Arthur Pelto is pretty sweet, but my son says he's 12 years old and isn't ready to pick out names for his kid yet. I don't get that. It's not for the 7th Arthur Pelto. It's not for the 8th. I'm trying to put money aside for the 9th Arthur Pelto. That kind of time preference is so low, I don't ever even care if I get to use this all the way until I'm dead. And by the way, if science and medicine continues along, I'm going to transition through cyborgdom to full robot great-grandparent. So I'm just going to live for a long time, and I still don't care if I ever get to use this stuff. How's that for time preference?
I like that. Okay, I appreciate that. One thing that you've done is you've compared Bitcoin's emergence in relation to culture and art being coded into the protocol in the relationship to Rabelais in the French language. Can you, and being from a French-speaking nation, obviously we have appreciation for the language itself, but can you explain that analogy?
Yes, and this is something that clicked for me this morning. This is the first time I'm ever saying this out loud, but it clicked hard. I was like, oh my goodness, these two things are the same. And I love finding things that are the same hundreds to thousands of years apart, because it is mind-blowing to think about humanity basically doing the same thing over and over again. So I've been reading a book called The Genesis Book by Aaron Van Weerdum. I actually tweeted you up this morning because I saw that you were at, yeah. How did you produce it that quickly?
I thought, I saw your tweet and you know what? I'm on page 2, so I got the book. I'm reading it. It's not because of your tweet. I did have it a little earlier, but here we are.
Okay. Yeah, well, maybe I like put some more focus on that for you and said, hey, this book you already have, go ahead and start it.
Time to get into it.
It is teaching me so much. I mean, I feel like Dr. Selvig studying the Tesseract in the first Avengers movie, you know, where he's all hypnotized by Loki, and he says, it's more than knowledge, it's truth. He's like super hyped up. Anyways, that's the second time I've tried to use that. Like, nobody's loving my Dr. Selvig reference. Put it in the comments if you know what I mean.
You know, like your movie analogies are lost on me, but I appreciate that there are a lot of people that get it.
So I'll put my Marty. I was gonna do some Marty McFly stuff later. I'll throw it in the bin. That book has taught me that Satoshi basically took all of these different components that have built up over time, and he kind of braided them into this incredible thing called Bitcoin. I actually had a friend of mine, Simple Steve, come on my show and tell me that Satoshi creating Bitcoin is so spontaneous and incredible. It would be as if the Wright brothers showed up, made an airplane out of spare lawnmower parts, flew it beautifully the first time, and then winked off the face of the earth, never to be heard from again. Like, what Satoshi has done with Bitcoin is taken these different disciplines, Austrian economics, cryptography, other people's attempts at digital cash, Adam Back's proof of work. I mean, just brought it all together into a protocol. And I've been trying to understand protocols recently, Jarrett, and it finally clicked for me when I was reading another book, Mastering Bitcoin by Andreas Antonopoulos, that a protocol is like the World Wide Web is a protocol, right? Email is a separate protocol from the World Wide Web. Bluetooth is a protocol. This stuff is wild. Bitcoin is a protocol. It's like a set of rules that two people can use to work together without really ever meeting in person. So this morning I was thinking about my favorite author of all time, François Rabelais. This man was a doctor who lived in La France during the Renaissance, okay? And he learned so much about medicine when he was living in Paris that when he decided to travel south down to my town, Montpellier, shout out to everyone in that beautiful, beautiful, low-mounded town where they used to herd sheep. He rolled up to the faculty of medicine and said, gee whiz, I sure would love a degree from you all, but I don't want to do any studying. Can I just stand in a room while the 6 of you grill me for 2 to 3 hours? And if I know all the answers to your questions, it's as if I studied here anyways, and you can just give me a degree. And they said, we'd love to do that for you, brother. And of course he was successful. And then he set about in his early 50s writing a book. The name of this book was Pantagruel, and it follows the adventures of a humanistic prince who was also a giant. And actually, he was born from a giant mother whose hoo-ha was so large that an entire parade of people came out before he did. This is a wild book. This is a wild book, okay? And it actually, to kind of put it somewhere where you might be able to grab onto it, went on to inspire Jonathan Swift to write Gulliver's Travels. So the sequence where Gulliver goes to the land of the Lilliputians and is miraculously a giant now, and they're like strapping him down to the beach with ropes. That was based on Pantagruel, who is fully just a giant for the entirety of his book. All right, where am I going with this? Language is a protocol, isn't it, Jarrett? It's a system of rules that we use to work together whether we know each other or not. I'm using a protocol right now to get the contents of my brain into your brain. Yes? Now,
Yep.
Who controls the protocol? Who controls language, Jarrett?
Nobody.
Nobody. Who controls Bitcoin?
Everybody.
Okay. And to an extent,
Nobody.
everyone controls language as well, don't they? when my son comes home and tells me that he's clocking my tea, and I say, what are you saying? And he says, it means that I recognize that what you're saying is truthful. Well, then there you go. My tea has been clocked. I have no control over his use of that language, okay? So language is a protocol. Now, Francois Rabelais was writing at a time when the French language was not yet a thing, Jarrett. It wasn't a thing yet. You have French that we speak today. You have Middle French, okay, which comes after Francois Rabelais. And you have basically Old French, which is like a weirdo deterioration of Latin mixed with regional dialects and like the kind of like that Gaul, like the Gauls, like the native tribes, and it's kind of just like a big old mess, right? Like the French language is not yet fully formed. It's super early. It's messy. I mean, you don't really have a reliable way to communicate with the people who live in your general area if you walk too far in one direction, okay? Now, what did Francois Rabelais do? When he wrote this book, I am telling you, this thing is a masterpiece. And it is the single most consequential book I've ever read until Seyfedin's book. He broke down all the different elements that were available to him, and he destroyed the meanings of certain words and made them mean new things. And he took separate concepts that people thought were true, and he broke those down, and he basically rebuilt the French language into a book, published that sucker, and the moment he did, which was in the year 1532, the game was over. That was, in fact, going to become the French language. He had just taken all the different elements and braided them together as they hadn't been braided before, and he won the game called, what is this language going to look like and sound like and mean? Satoshi basically wrote the Pantagruel of money. And even though we're only 16 years in, it is already game over.
I love that. It's a great historical analogy for us to understand. Just one thing to wrap up this conversation, Stewart. What does Bitcoin look like in the next 100 years or 500 years?
It looks great, Jarrett. It looks great. I mean, when we think about how humanity kind of just slowly gravitated downhill toward the best possible money that they could find in the form of gold, that's all that's happening right now with Bitcoin. Governments tried to reverse that downhill slope over the past 115 years by creating their own token, centralizing it, manipulating it, measuring it, issuing it. I mean, governments, for some insane reason, wanted to give it a whirl in terms of seeing whether they could reverse natural laws. I mean, Jarrett, do you think we would take government seriously if they said, announcement, gravity is now 9.9 meters per second squared?
I mean, to be honest, Stewart, I don't know what it is supposed to be.
It's 9.8 meters per second squared. That's the law. Gravity is 9.8 meters per second squared. And I don't care how much you declare it's something else. That's what it is. Governments were trying to declare, and they have been, and they still are trying to declare that money is not a natural thing that we spontaneously organize ourselves around over time through experience, right? So what does Bitcoin look like in the next 100 years? It looks like an incredible investment that helps you scooch out of this busted experiment into a pocket dimension where you can be safe.
Amazing.
What does it look like 500 years from now? It looks like money, Jarrett. And it looks like you can buy coffee on Earth. And it looks like you can buy coffee on the spaceship. And it looks like you can buy coffee on Mars.
Well, I mean, yeah. And maybe coffee is not even a thing. Stewart, where can we learn more about Sat Chats and the work that you're doing?
Go to YouTube and search for Sat Chats. Luckily, we've been doing this for about a year now, so you'll no longer get old videos about SAT prep, which is a test that high schoolers take here in America. It has nothing to do with Bitcoin. Don't click on it. Even though in today's conversation with you, someone who is a professor, someone who is consuming truly dense literature about Bitcoin, I've presented myself as an erudite individual as well. What I really am trying to do on Sat Chats is deliver on the natural consequences of my thought process. If Bitcoin has in fact won, and by the way, it has, then what I need to do is help as many people as possible go ahead and adopt the winning form of money now.
Yeah.
So on Sat Chats, I'm not getting into all of these multi-syllabic words from Latin and Greek roots to talk about all these far-flung moments in time. We're just chatting about sats, man. We bring pre-coiners on the show. Hey, what's keeping you from stacking your first sats? We have a plain English conversation about it. And then when we're done addressing their concerns or answering their curiosities, we give them their choice. Hey, let's put our Bitcoin where our mouth is. Do you want this guy, or do you want $50 worth of Bitcoin? And we give them their choice. And you can see here, this is my proof of work. 159 guests have decided to stack the sats after chatting with me and my co-host Anna Bevan. 9, again, including my sister and my daughter, are like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to take the $50. And in my sister's case, buy tacos that night. And in my daughter's case, buy makeup at Target later on that week. So go to YouTube, search for Sat Chats. You'll see me. I look like this all the time because I'm trying to protect you and your loved ones from my Bitcoin laser eyes. If you subscribe, you will be entered for your chance to win 2 million sats, which is a whole bunch of loonies these days, and will be even more in the future. Check it out. It's a great place to learn more about Bitcoin if you're a brand new Bitcoiner. None of the academic, none of that is in that show. It's all nice and easy for beginners. But I just wanted to flex my muscles a little bit with you here today, Jarrett.
I appreciate that. I love the concept. And I love that you've onboarded that many people into Bitcoin. And your poor sister, boy, the regret she's going to have. If she's husbanded, boy, he is going to be upset in a few years when he finds out that she spent it all on tacos.
Well, it gets worse, Jarrett, because her husband is part of the XRP army. No, John. John, that's a centralized token. It's every bit as bad as this stuff. What are you doing? Buy some Bitcoin.
I can't imagine Christmas time at your house this year. Stewart, it's been great having you on the show. I appreciate it. You've been a great interview, and it's super exciting to chat with you. Thanks so much for being with me here today.
One more thing. I need to take over your show now, Jarrett.
Take over.
This is what I do at the end of every one of my shows, and I'm going to do it with you now. I really appreciate the time you've given me to come on and talk about some aspects of Bitcoin that are super interesting to me. So, in exchange for your time, because we do believe in value for value over here, we're Bitcoiners, I'm going to give you your choice. This guy right here, who is a president and whose name you've already forgotten from earlier on in the episode.
It's true.
Or 53,796 sats.
I'll take the sats every day of the week.
Every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Come on. Bitcoin has won, folks. Thank you, Jarrett.
I appreciate it. Thanks for your time today.
Bye-bye.